never used a compass before in your life. Most of your parents, if I would have put a geometry compass on your syllabus, you would have ended up with like this kind of thing, okay? Because this is what your parents probably used back in the day. These things are god awful. This is also a compass. These ones are really hard to use. They're terrible, okay? So if I would have said a compass, your parents would have bought this anyways. These ones are the best ones, okay? These are on it. Well, they're both on Amazon, but this is the best one. So for this, on the back side of this, we're going to just practice. What's up? Yes, bring me your phone. On the back, we're going to practice just using this and getting used to how it works. So on the back of the first page, you should not be writing on a folder. You should not be writing on a binder. If you're using a binder, just close it and make sure your desk is completely clear. So that way it's completely flat. So on the back, we're going to just practice making a circle just so you can kind of see how this works. So you're going to take your pencil and towards the bottom, you're going to make a dot. On the bottom half of your paper, just make a dot. And then you are going to take your compass. And if you look in your needle, the clear part, there's actually a little circle right there in the center of your compass. You're going to put the little circle that's in the circle on your dot you just created. Now, depending on which compass you have, put it on your paper, make a dot somewhere on your paper. And then you are going to close your slider to be, I don't know, about like halfway. Let's just do like halfway. You're not measuring anything, just put it about halfway. Now there are two circles on your slider. Notice even looking at mine, this one looks like it's black and this one it looks like it's super clean. That's because this is a bunch of ink and like pencil lead in there. You should never use the back one. You should only use the front one because you'll just get confused. So just pretend like the back one's not there. You're going to put your pencil in the front one. And if you're holding your hand flat like this, your compass is not really going to slide. If you kind of hover your finger over it, you can see that it just kind of like moves around nice and easily. So you're going to put your pencil in the little hole and you're going to go all the way around and you're going to make a circle going around your paper. You may need to pick up your hand slightly. Maneuver around your hand, but you should never pick up your finger that's on your needle. Your needle should stay exactly where it's at because you don't want it to move. So you kind of have to like move around. It's okay because this is the first time. Everybody's circle's ugly. Your slider might have moved. Did you tighten your slider enough? Did you tighten it? I think you have the one that's, let me hold up yours really quick. You need to tighten it. Did you tighten it all the way? So then it shouldn't move. Oh, is it not moving? Did you go to the right? Did you tighten it to the right? Okay. We're going to do the same thing. Shh. We're going to do the same thing up here. So take a second, make another dot. This time I want you to make a smaller circle. So when you make your random dot, it doesn't matter where it's at. You're going to put your needle on the dot. You're going to put your finger on there. Make sure it's kind of like hovering and push down just because so that way it slides nice and easy. Close your slider a little bit so that way your circle is smaller because if you close it a little bit more, so I went like 1/4 away. I'm not measuring anything. And I make a circle. It should be smaller than the original because I made the slider closer to the center. So you do have to kind of move your hands around. So we're just practicing. Every chapter we're going to add to our constructions. This is called constructions. We've only done lines. So what we're doing for constructions for unit 1 is lines. Unit 2, we're going to do angles. So we'll do constructions on angles. Chapter 3, we do parallel lines. So we'll construct parallel lines. Then we'll get into triangles and a bunch of craziness, okay? So now that we feel a little bit comfortable, let's flip to the front. So the first construction that we're going to do, and you should be on the paper that says part 1, is copying a line segment. So there are directions. So if you ever look back at this and you want to practice, there are directions. I'm just going to tell you how to do it. So there is a given line segment, and the idea behind this is that we are taking this segment and we want to copy the exact length over here. If you ever catch yourself measuring something, with the ruler part on it with the numbers, do not do that, okay? We are not measuring anything. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our straight edge ruler along the side, and we're just going to draw a line going through point A, starting at point A and just going to the right. Your line that you drew with the straight edge, which is the ruler part, should be longer than the original line. So put it on your paper and draw a line. If you're not going to do it, then put it down. If you're going to do it, then do it. Yeah. Bring me your phone and then pick best. Also, if you're using a mechanical pencil, you'll realize that the lead is so thin that it kind of like wobbles around in there, but it's okay. If you have a wooden pencil, they work the best. But so now that I have my line, you should have a straight line. I'm going to take my needle, which is the circle. I'm going to put it on A. And you're going to open your slider to B. So if I open my slider, I'm going to loosen it and I'm going to open it up so that way I can see point B through that circle where I put my pen to make the circle on the back. So I should be able to see point B through that circle. So you're going to open up to that circle. And then this is what they like to call it on the EOC and on your tests. You're going to make an arc mark. So it's a piece of your circle. Last time on the back, we went all the way around the circle. This time, we're just going to make a piece of the circle. We're just going to draw a little arc mark. So it's a piece of your circle. That is measuring the length from A to B. We're not going to move this at all. We're keeping our slider exactly where it's at. And we're going to slide over to the second A, which is A. It looks like an exponent of 1, but it's called A prime. We're going to put our needle on A prime. And we're going to make the same exact arc mark over here. You put your pencil in the thing and then you make a mark. So you put your needle on A, and then you put your pencil in there, and then you just go whoop. So it's making a piece of the circle. Instead of going all the way around, I just made a piece of my circle. Now, if you look, this piece where B prime or B is, where this intersection is actually a point. And it's going to be called B prime. It has a little exponent of 1 because it's basically like the new B. B started over here. The B I created is over here. So I'm not going to call it B. I'm going to call it B prime. This was A. The new A is A prime. We're going to do the same thing for C and D. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a line from C prime just going to the right. It should be longer than the original. So I just kind of go all the way over. I'm going to put my needle on C, which is the circle inside the circle. So I'm going to put that on C. And then you're going to close your slider to open up to D. So right now, see my little circle? It's way past D. I need to open it up to D. So I'm going to close it so that way that circle is open to D. You got to tighten your slider so it doesn't move. And I'm going to make the same arc mark, which is measuring the length from C to D. So there's my arc mark. I'm not moving my slider because I want to keep that length. I'm going to slide it over to C prime, make the same arc mark. Yep. So this point is D prime. So if you look at the bottom 3, you're going to try these now. The only difference between the ones we just did and the bottom 3 is they don't give you the initial point to start at. You just have to pick a point to start at. So if the first one is JK, just make a point somewhere and call it J prime. So take a second. You're going to write a point. Start by drawing the line. And then you're going to use your compass to actually measure the length of JK. Yes. Thank you. So I'm going to open to K, make a little arc mark. Oh, I forgot to draw my line. I'm sorry. Draw my line. Whoop. People get stressed at the last two because it's slightly turned. You don't have to make it sideways if you don't want to make it sideways. As long as the whole point of this is your length should be the same as the original. If you don't like that, it's slanted slightly, don't make it slanted. As long as yes. And then you can take the pass because they got the pass. So try the last two. So where your point is at is not at the end of the line that you created, it's where your arc intersects with your line that you drew. Where's the one that you guys don't want to use? Which one's for? I didn't know. You're smiling. She's in the thing that here's mine. But this thing's a little popped out, but it's okay. Okay, so finish those last two, and then let's move to the next page. Okay. So if you're not done, it's okay because you'll have time to finish up the first page. Let's move to the next construction. So on here, this is 1.6 part 2. Once again, there's directions on how to do this. So that way, if you ever look back, you can actually see. And this one's nice because it has each step, what each step should look like. So there's actually 2 constructions on this paper. The first one is perpendicular bisector of a segment. On the back is a perpendicular bisector through a point not on the line. So this one has a point that we would have to go through. Perpendicular, you might not know, means that it's creating a 90-degree angle. Okay, so the goal is we're going to cut the segment in half. When we cut it in half with a line, it's creating a 90-degree angle and it's making the 2 pieces of the line equal. So what we're going to do for number 1 is you are going to put your compass on G. So put your needle on G. And then what you are doing is you are opening the slider more than half the distance of the segment. So if I look my segment all the way from G to H, I want it not halfway, I want it a little bit more than halfway. You don't want to go past H, so somewhere like 3/4 of the way, okay? So you don't have to think that hard, just think like this is half probably, so just go closer to H, okay? Make sure your thing is tightened if you have one of the ones that tighten, okay? And then what we're going to do is we are going to make an arc mark actually above the line. You're going to lift your pencil up and you're going to go below the line. So I did not move my compass, bless you. I kept my needle on G and I basically made half the circle, but instead of making the half circle, I kind of lifted up in the middle and then made an arc above, made an arc below. It's still the same circle, the same radius. I just kind of picked it up a little bit, okay? So take a second, make sure your arcs look like that. You are not moving your slider at all. Your compass is staying exactly the way it is, however you set it for those arcs. Now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it and you're going to do the same thing for H. So I'm going to flip my compass and I'm going to make the same exact arcs, one above and one below, not moving my slider at all. So your arcs should actually intersect with each other. Huh? Then that means you did not extend more than halfway, or you went too high for it. Because you may have just like. Oh, what? You didn't draw. You need to go back and yeah, bring your phone.
Wait, do we have to move it again?
No, you are not moving the slider. Yeah, you may have to extend it. Okay. So let me run through this again. You put your needle on G. You make an arc above. You make the same arc below. Then I'm flipping my compass. Instead of being on G, I'm going to H. I'm making an arc above. I'm making an arc below. If they don't intersect, one of two things could have happened. You could have just not made your arcs long enough, okay? So you might need to go back and just make them a little bit longer. Second thing is if you did not open up more than halfway, they would not cross. So if you know you guarantee, like you definitely open up more than halfway, then you just did not make your arcs long enough. Now, where the 2 points intersect, right here and right here, these are actually coordinate points. We're not going to make them a point. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use the straight edge on our ruler, and we're going to connect those 2 points. So make a line. This line splits your original segment in half to 2 equal parts, and it should create a 90-degree angle because it's a perpendicular bisector. If you think about the words, it's perpendicular, 90 degrees. Bisector, you're going to learn about. Bisect means to cut something in half. So it's a perpendicular bisector. Bisecting is cutting, perpendicular is 90. We're going to do the same thing for number 2. My line is crooked, but it's the same process. So I'm going to take my needle. I'm going to place it. I'm just going to do J. Make sure your slider is open up more than 50% of the way, which it should be technically for the both lines. I'm going to make an arc above and below the line. Not moving the slider. I'm going to flip the compass and I'm going to move it to K and do the same thing. So I should have arcs on both sides. Where your arcs intersect are 2 points. You're going to use your straight edge to connect them. So if you turn your paper slightly, it should look like a perfect 90-degree angle, and it's cutting the line in half. In the hole closest to your finger. Yeah. Don't ever use that one. You should only use the one that's closest to the needle. Yeah. That looks good.
No. You put the business wrong. You take some that into like office. To make it next.
Yeah. Yeah, bring me your phone. Okay. On the back, last one. On the back, the last one is the same thing. It should be perpendicular, but now it is through a point not on the line. So if you look, I'm going to start with a point not on the line. I'm going to make two arcs, technically from the same point L. And then I'm going to use those arcs to make arcs underneath it, which the steps might help you after you like learn how to do it, just so that way you can refresh your brain. So let's start with number 1 on the back. If you're still working on the front, I want you to pause and just go to the back, so that way you don't get lost on another one. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your needle on N. So take your circle inside your circle. You're going to put it on point N. Now, we are going to close the slider. This is the only confusing part. You're going to close your slider, and you need to check that. It's going to be kind of close. You need to slide it over, kind of see if it intersects over here with your line and over there. See how like I can kind of see the line go through my circle right there? It needs to intersect over here and over here. So I didn't tighten it yet because if I made it too close, it would not intersect at all. If I made it too big, it might intersect like on one side. See how it doesn't intersect over here, but it intersects on this side. Whoop. So it needs to be a good length to where it's going to hit both sides. Not necessarily arrows, but it needs to hit the line 2 times, wherever it's at 2 times. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer because I need it to hit that line twice. So wherever you think you decide, I hit my line once here and I hit it here. So I tighten my slider and I'm going to make 2 arcs. It's going to intersect here and it's going to intersect here. So I'm basically making that part of the circle, but I'm going to lift up my pencil in the middle so it's not all one arc. So it's the same arc. I just lift my pencil in the middle so that way it's not one big happy face. But it should intersect your line 2 times. You could erase it, yeah. If you do make one swoop, you could erase the middle. Just make sure you write light so that way you don't have a bunch of eraser marks. Okay. So once we have the one swoop, we're going to put our needle. Yeah, can you guys stop? I'm waiting till Wednesday because all of you guys are moving, specifically you guys right here. Once Wednesday, just because I'm too lazy to move all the desks around, and I'm not going to make assigned seats because we're not staying in groups anyways. So there's no point in me making assigned seats and then remaking assigned seats in 3 days. Okay, so I'm going to put my needle here. I'm not moving my slider at all. I'm going to make an arc kind of towards the middle. Think about, you have to make a line going through N. It's going to connect somewhere down here. So kind of go underneath N and make an arc underneath it. So I put my circle here.
Oh wait, at that point where it intersects.
Yes. So you're putting your needle here at this intersection and think about trying to make your arc underneath N. So you're sliding underneath N. You're going to flip it and you're going to do the same thing with the other arc. No. You're making the same exact arc underneath it. Think about aiming for N underneath N. You put your needle here and you make a swoop going through both sides.
Wait, can you look at one?
So
You gotta put it at the
I don't know. Wait, you have to make it right
where
here.
you made the art.
Excuse me. You have to make it right here.
And then you make other art.
And then you make it half. And then you do the same thing that us. Right here.
Oh, and then
The line in the middle.
we use that.
And you make it under the end.
Could you explain it? This how?
Okay. So I'm going to go through the whole thing again. You put your needle on N. We made our arc going through here and here. You should have at least these two arcs right here, okay? Once you have these arcs, those intersections are where you're putting your compass next. So I moved my needle to this intersection right here, and you're aiming for under N. So I made a line going underneath N. Yeah, can you guys stop? Shh. And then you flip your compass, and then you're making an arc under N as well. You're not going above N, you're just doing underneath. Where this point is at that you just created, you're connecting that with N, and it's making a perpendicular line to your segment. This time it is not a bisector, it's not splitting it down the middle. If you look, line A is not being split down the middle, but it is it's not a bisector, it's a perpendicular line to a point not on the line. So this should be your 90-degree angle. So we're going to do the same thing for the last one because I know this one's the most confusing. It will help if you turn your paper. Okay. So the last one, notice it's straight up. I'm going to literally turn my paper sideways so that way it's flat again. So let's turn it flat. You might need to. Let's find out. So I'm going to put my compass on the point. Shh. This is why you don't understand. So then I have my compass on the point. I'm going to put my finger there so it doesn't move. And I need to make sure this slider, the key part about this one is you need to make sure your circle, the first circle, goes through the line twice. So see my line right there? And then I'm going to swing it this way to make sure it intersects the line again. Okay, so it intersects right there. If it's too far out, it's not going to go through this side of the line, but it would go through this side of the line. So that's why you need to make sure it intersects twice with your line. So it's going to need to be a little close. So I intersect once, I intersect twice. Once I check that it intersects twice, that's when I can go and make my arcs. So I'm going to swing through, pick up my pencil just a little bit, swing through. You're going to make them on both. So you can pick either, you mean like the next part? No.
Like, make it under that.
The next part? Yeah. So the idea is you should make a perpendicular line with N. So your lines should end up underneath this. So you swoop and you swoop. That intersection is perpendicular. Do not take my compasses home. If you want, maybe you should ask your mom to order you one. They're $10 on Amazon, and then you can practice at home. Do not take them home. Put them in the center of the table like they were before you came. There is no home.